basically, there was this post on Blue Sky about media that could be much better than Harry Potter. And I mentioned my video on Hogwarts Legacy that had a ton of dislikes, so yeah, that was a thing. However, due to that, I had a crap ton of likes on Blue Sky. More than most of my actual videos. But I don't think it really represents me anymore. This is 5 minutes long. Most of my vids are 20 to 30 minutes long. Also, Hogwarts Legacy sold well enough. So I'll just call this one Magical Video Games for Harry Potter fans and haters, probably hate J.K. Rowling. I could talk about movies like the Wild Thornberrys movie that tackles the old poachers aspect from Hogwarts Legacy, but no movies, only video games. They will be divided in 3 categories: games with castles, games with magic, and games with magical schools. If you want something with the exact same type of gameplay as Hogwarts Legacy, there's a bunch of open world games out there. But what about the combat? As much as it reminds me of the most generic third-person shooters, it kinda reminds me of Ape Escape Million Monkeys. Well, the more chaotic aspect of the combat reminds me of Power Stone. Somehow. Games with castles. Plenty of games have castles since there are usually big places to explore, while Castlevania had fun doing whatever it does with Dracula's castle. Super Mario 64's Peach Castle is one of the most iconic castles in gaming. It is mostly due to the amount of rooms it has, even as an upworld. Every room is carefully crafted with a certain type of simplicity. It's so simple at this point, but it makes every room stand out in ways that not many castles do in video games. Spectre's castle from OG Ape Escape is very forgettable, boss included. Not that many interesting spots, while Saruman's castle is also linear. The wackiness of the monkeys is what makes the area so memorable, especially since you can film them and just shitpost. Ape Escape 3 is modern YouTube editing. The Legend of Zelda also has plenty of castles, my favorite being the Minish Cap because it's not just a dungeon where you must sneak around or fight enemies, it's an actual place with actual people. It only later becomes a dungeon that you have to survive. Quest 64 also does this with its castle on the intro, while also making it huge to the point where it feels like a real location rather than just another castle. It even has some empty rooms to add some credibility to it. That's the best thing about Quest 64 in my opinion, and that's saying something considering how much I love the game. Paper Mario also added more iconic locations to Peach's castle, making it feel even more real. Until Bowser takes over it, of course. It's still sad that Peach has to sneak around her own castle. At least she isn't ignored or anything, like in SMG4. But that can wait another time. One title famous or not for its castles has to be the Deception games, with its premise of using traps to end trespassers' lives. The Deception titles, including Trapped, are fun yet horrifying. You are a flawed protagonist who has motivations for staying in this castle, while the enemies you encounter and have to end also have their own motivations of their own. Plus, according to some of your choices that you make in the game, you might get a certain ending. Usually, the more you progress through the story, the more rooms in the castle will be unlocked. So while the game makes you question your own morals and beliefs, and also shows you some very horrifying things. Yay, castle! On that note, we're heading to the magic segment. Sure, we can count that one open world Magical Dreams PS4 game by Ellen of Boy. You break a pot, so you talk about stuff, help people with magic, etc. It's an indie open world title. A bit empty, but fun. Magical Star Sign starts out at school. After the prologue though, you head into space to save your teacher using magic. The gameplay is heavily reliant on the element of each character. Depending on the alignment of the stars, your attack might get stronger or weaker. The monsters also have their own elements, whose strength depends on the stars, as usual. It's a pretty intuitive system that relies on you checking the astrology chart at all times, which is something not that many games ever did. The story also is about magic, so there's that. The localization adds even more personality to the story. If anything, it makes the game feel like the adaptation of a children's novel. The game does not have much questionable content, so it's fun for all the family. I think Harry Potter fans will enjoy it. I do a lot so far. Other magic-based titles on the DS have used draw spells on the touchscreen, the most well-known titles being Ni no Kuni, with its 500-page book that has ton of spells. Hence why the DS version was never truly localized. Other titles include Lost Magic, an RTS published by Ubisoft that has one of the Studio Ghibli animators as a character designer, or the Full Metal Alchemist DS beat 'em up. Ubisoft used to publish a lot of Japanese titles in the West. Nowadays though, the torch has been passed to Exceed or Axis Games. I might talk about the localized games Ubisoft did later, but for now, whatever. However, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Guardian Heroes, a beat-em-up using choose-your-own-adventure mechanics to access multiple endings. It has a wizard. Yep, that sure is a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
You can use magic with him, discover multiple combos whenever you level up. It's fun. I wish it was ported to the Switch 1 or 2 or Steam. Code of Princess does the same thing with a necromancer, so that's that. However, the thing about Code of Princess is that it has a lot, and I mean a lot of grinding, which made me straight up give up on the game. If you want a more relaxing adventure that doesn't require endless amount of grinding, you can play A Bewitching Revolution, a title where you're a witch, you run around, you take apples, and you cause a communist revolution. Yes, seriously. It is that simple, and it is free, like the goddamn Das Kapital visual novel. Yes, that's a thing. And before you ask, no, the German soldier dating sim isn't free. Hi Nintendo. Well, there is plenty of magic to be found in the two titles that are mostly free that you can download anywhere. Nintendo also created a shmup for Wii U. Technically, in Game & Wario, we get a bunch of MIDI games, one for each character, including Ashley going accidentally in Candy World, so she shoots down Candy using the gamepad. She shoots automatically, but you use the gamepad to move. Certainly an interesting take on the genre, and one that won't be coming back anytime soon. It's fun, if you can afford it. Of course, she also has a digital horror series made by a gacha life enthusiast, which is one of the best in the genre, honestly. Like, it's not just about a spooky game, it's about the spooky things that happened in Ashley's past. I easily recommend it. I also recommend Wario and Waluigi's reaction to it. Same way I recommend Horrorland from Goosebumps, Mario Party 2. As much as I love the Superstars version, this one has the potions as well as the cute witch's costume. Painfully adorable, yes. Witch's Wish also exists. Games with magic schools. Final Fantasy VIII starts in a military magic school, then becomes a political drama, then I don't know, you're in charge of the school. It's kinda cool, but whatever, if you like magic schools and stuff, you'll probably love Final Fantasy VIII. As Squall would say, whatever. Atelier Firis is more about training to become a master alchemist to clear the alchemy exam. Yes, there is an alchemy exam at the end. The plot of this alchemy JRPG is less big action and more slice of life coming of age story for tweens who enjoy children's literature or the Wizard movie. If it got re-released somehow. A fun casual JRPG, although the more recent entries of the Atelier series have had more serious plots despite them being a bit cozy. I still think that a magical exam fits this category very well. For more YA/line novel enthusiasts, we have Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. It's an adventure with teenagers in a magical military school, until the end of the first game wherein Dick constructs the entirety of the magic school trope. I'm trying to be as vague as possible in order to avoid real spoilers. It then goes wild in the sequel Trails of Cold Steel 2, only to disappoint me beyond any measure in Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4. Yep. This just happens sometimes, even in light novels. I would recommend Persona fans to try it, as much as I do Harry Potter fans, because the magical school elements blend pretty well here with the anime trope. I know buying 4 games is not the same as buying 4 books though, so if you ever feel like quitting, just quit. I personally prefer Tokyo Xanadu's writing much more, not gonna lie. Although the expansion ends in a cliffhanger. Magician's Quest Mysterious Time is a cozy herb DS title by Konami that's basically a magic school story with simple Animal Crossing elements, character designs included. If anything, I'd recommend people to use certain means like that Monkey D. Luffy guy in order to play this one instead of buying it because of the price. Same for Tao's Adventure, which I forgot to mention earlier despite it having the magical spell thing. It exists. One final title I want to mention has to be the best Wii RPG with an incredible story, gorgeous graphics. Just kidding, it's Opoona. Oftentimes, Harry Potter's world building confused me, especially as it went on and on until I got bored of it. Despite that, the world itself sticks in my mind. I found it really interesting to explore, and even in fanfiction, it's nice to see people using this world to create new stories. Granted, plenty of mythological ideas, plot points, etc. are borrowed from other stuff, but still, I really like it. Opoona though. Opoona really wants you to care about its world building. We should tackle the story first though. Opoona is about a family heading for Tokyo, another planet, for a vacation. Too bad they get attacked by other aliens, so Opoona's parents give up their children, separate. Bide in time, lie in wait, Opoona under underground! Opoona underground! So Opoona gets enrolled as a Tolkien Ranger, trying to find his siblings in this vacation. Learning about combat and magic, there is so much world building with people to talk, memorable structures, building, etc. Aside from the dungeons, they're mostly there. Even the minigames and the art pieces that you discover are really interesting. Lore-wise, I think Opoona is really cool. There's even a twist later that has a very Xenoblade / Doki Doki Literature Club vibe that makes you rethink absolutely everything you've done so far. I would easily recommend this one as the story gets surprising dark at times and the lore is just really worth it. Think of the pirates though. So that's my video on magical games Harry Potter fans / haters might enjoy. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Like and subscribe and goodbye!